All right, I feel like every time I have somebody that is a an expert in recruiting on the podcast, every time there's new rule changes, there's something about to maybe go into law. There's always something going on with recruiting. Like recruiting in the last 5 years, I feel like it's changed more than it had in the previous 20. Like
Mhm.
it's just constantly changing. And I know for athletes, for parents, you guys are just overwhelmed, and some of you might be doing things in a way that maybe is even considered old school at this point and maybe not the best way to get recruited. So today I have Rodney Cox, the founder of Game Time Recruiting and Consulting, to talk about what recruiting looks like for 2025 and going into 2026, especially for football players. And I want to pull out some real life examples in this too, because I know some local athletes who are struggling on the recruiting side.
Mhm.
Maybe they just had a really bad experience high school wise. And so we're going to talk about like how to get noticed, how to get recruited, even if you're kind of in a not so great situation. So, Rodney, he played college football in Arizona or at Arizona State, so he knows what it's like to go D1. He knows that process, but he's also helped hundreds of athletes to get recruited, to get their opportunities to play at the next level. So he's definitely got some great experience here. But yeah, Rodney, thanks for joining us today.
Listen, thank you. Thank you for your time, Nick. I'm excited to just give some nuggets, to the listeners, just about, again, just the recruiting, because just like what you said, it's crazy right now. Just the transfer portal and these transfer window. But yeah, we'll get more into it. So let's go. I'm excited.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, let's start off with we don't necessarily, I guess, need to go into what has changed in terms of, like you said, transfer portal and stuff.
Mhm.
But I want to, with all of those changes that are happening, what does that mean to a high school athlete who wants to get recruited? Like, what do they need to be doing differently than maybe they hadn't 5 years ago?
You know what? I've been asked this question so many times, Nick. And with that, the biggest thing is just being open, right? Like I know for a lot of athletes, their goal is Division 1, and that's awesome, right? Have your goal, but you need to be open going to Division 2, Division 3, NAIA. And I think that's just the biggest thing for these athletes is again, have your goal, but just be open to other divisions to get your foot in the door.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's one thing that I'm thankful to see more and more athletes are open to. I'm seeing more and more like athletes who may have been able to go D1 5 years ago or 10 years ago, but now they're going, say, the JUCO route. I think it's a little bit easier. I feel like from what I see, there's more baseball opportunities at the JUCO route than, say, football. But yeah, I know it can be tricky. What about like when we think of like DMs, emails, like the
Awesome.
videos, highlight videos, like what has changed about that, or what's still kind of the same?
Listen, if you don't have a Twitter account, you are behind the 8 ball. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Like I just talked to an eighth grader two nights ago, and the dad kind of asked me the same thing, like, "Hey, is it too early?" And I'm like, "No. If you want to get yourself out there and get noticed and start building your brand, because that's really what it is building your brand, building your value. You got to have a Twitter account. You got to just basically sell yourself. So again." Make sure your Twitter account is your first name, your last name, and the year that you graduate. Okay. A lot of time these athletes I see it. It'll say, Little Ricky 0707. And I'm like, who is Little Ricky? Like, that's not your name. Okay. It's Rick Sanchez or whatever that may be. So I would say, getting the Twitter account, boom, get that going. Follow coaches. You know what I mean? Like that's huge, with the algorithm of X, is they'll start saying, oh, okay, little Ricky keeps following these football coaches or baseball coaches. Let's give them more coaches to follow. So that's huge. That is huge. Another thing is just going to the right camps. I think sometimes, everybody want to go to the Alabama camp or, the UW camp. But you know what? There's a camp that's Eastern Washington or there's a camp that's Central Washington that, you might get a better look because at the end of the day, go where you're loved, go where you're wanted, and go where you're valued. So yeah, DMs, Twitter accounts, those are just some good tips as far as to get your name out there.
Yeah. What else should be when you think of the bio? Because I see a lot of things, and I even saw a post yesterday of it was a football coach, college coach, who was like, players, you need to update your height and weight in your bio. Like, but like, what are some of those things you see that are like a must in the bio?
Yeah, so in the bio, okay, height and weight, what year you are, okay, high school, and then GPA. GPA is huge, okay. Again, athletes, parents who are listening to this, start fast with your GPA. It's almost like running track, right? So if you're running a 100-meter dash, the most important part is that beginning. It's the drive phase, right? Where in school, that drive phase is your ninth grade year, your 10th grade year, and then let it carry on because you've already built a nice base on this is how you study. This is how I, do my homework and things like that. I think what I've seen over the years is a lot of kids take freshman year for granted, and then now they're playing catch up, right? So now you're doing summer school. Oh my gosh, you're retaking classes. You're staying, after school to do makeup work. Where it's like, just take care of school the first time, then you can get things done. Because again, GPA, my buddy named this, is called getting paid academically. All right, the higher your GPA, the more money a school can give you. So GPA, getting paid academically. Let's go.
Yeah. I have an athlete who got a full ride scholarship, like D1 and everything.
Mhm.
And then they told him, they're like, hey, if you work up your GPA to like this number, you continue working it up, we'll give you more
Mhm.
free money. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna work on my GPA, you know? So
It's out there, and that's the thing about it is, Nick, is like these colleges are willing to pay for your brain. Like here we go. I got a football player right now. He has a 4.8 GPA, and I said, "Wait, how do you get a 4.8?" Like, I mean, I've seen 4.3, 4.2, but I was like a 4.8. So literally these coaches are like, hey, Rodney, we love this kid. We're going to pay him X amount of money for his brain. We're going to give him some money for his school. So he's not going to pay nothing out of pocket to go to school. So again, families, athletes who are listening in, like take care of business, not only in your sport, but also in the classroom.
yeah. Um, Also thinking of Twitter and just the videos
Mhm.
especially. So one thing I've heard recently is like not posting every single highlight or not overwhelming number one the feed or number one like, and I see this with baseball. It's like, oh hey, this random game, this random game, this random game. It's just constant.
Right.
Football I like usually I'll see like for high school season at least you'll be like week 1 through week 4 or week
Mhm.
5 through whatever like those like
Mhm.
how do you navigate that because coaches only have so much time to really evaluate you.
Absolutely. Nick, you're hitting with these questions. I'm telling you. Um, the one thing is this, okay? The first 5 to 7 clips, it better catch the coach's eyes. Okay. So a buddy of mine who lives in California, we were talking about this yesterday, and I actually posted about it on my social media, is like you can't just be good anymore, right? Those good plays, just like you can't be good. You gotta be great. You gotta be elite. So if like for instance, if you're an O lineman and you're just blocking, okay, cool. Everybody can block. But I need you to do pancakes. I need you to, drive that D tackle into the linebacker. Like take him 10 yards down the field. If you're a wide receiver, don't just make those easy catches, but I want to see the yak. I want to see the yards after the catch. Let me see what you can do. But on the flip side, I want to see if you can block. Right? A lot of coaches are definitely looking at things like that. It's those small things, right? That most people don't do, but coaches look at that like, man, that was great. He was unselfish and he was, blocking down the field for his running back and for his other wide receiver. But with that film, Nick, again, those first, let's just say 5 to 7, 5 to 10 plays, you better catch the coach's eyes because after those 10 plays, they're cutting it off because they got to see another kid, and they don't have all day just looking at film.
Yeah. So one thing too, I think about this because we talk about the small things matter and some of
Mhm.
those things with how recruiting and everything is kind of shifting. Do you feel
Mhm.
like college coaches are going to have less of an opportunity to necessarily see a kid live?
Nick, was you in my house yesterday? Literally, we were like literally yesterday. Me and my buddies, we talk about this all the time because I know we don't want to talk about the transfer portal, but because of the transfer portal, a lot of these high school kids aren't being seen like years prior, because these coaches have a mindset of, I got to win right now. Because if I don't, I lose my job, right? So, am I going to recruit a high school kid that I have to groom and speed up the process, or do I go after a college transfer or a junior college athlete and so forth? So, I mean, it's just crazy how you really do have to speed up the process of, hey, and it goes back to what we just talked about. You got to be open at the end of the day. I know your love is Division 1, but just get your foot in the door at a D2, show your value, and then you can maneuver around in the transfer portal and things like that. So, I mean, again, I think it's huge. Just having a open mind is just great nowadays.
Yeah. What about, so two different things I want to hit
Okay.
on. The next one I think about is football is very different than all the other sports when it comes to
Mhm.
recruiting, where I know when a football player has gotten an offer, like guaranteed. Every other sport, we rarely see it. Like
Right,
what
right.
what are college coaches' takes on that? Like, I'm just kind of curious because I feel like at some point it becomes more about them, or there can be some issues with just how it comes off. Even when I read some of like what the text says, I'm like, like, like just
Listen,
curious your take on that.
it's brutal. And here we go with that. So, offers. Make sure it's a committable offer. Okay. And that's a part, like, for instance, I had a kid, this was 2 years ago. A coach shook his hand, and he took that as the coach gave him an offer. And I was like, no, no, like the coach has to say, hey, I love what you do. Here's an offer. We want you to be part of our program. But another thing is just the etiquette about it, right? So on social media, you know, here we go. I am not, here we go. I'm a fan of congratulating you as far as your offers, right? If it's 10, if it's 2, if it's 30, I tell my athletes, do not post, after my 30th offer, or, after talking to such and such coach, I just received my 30th offer. And I'm like, hey, that doesn't look good. You know what I mean? Because now we call it offer surfing, or like offer stacking. Like, who cares about your 30th offer? You know what I mean? So that's where I just tell my kids, just say, hey, thank you, Coach Cox. After a great conversation, I just received an offer from Oregon State. Perfect. They don't know if it's number 1 or if it's number 7, but dude, it gets on my nerve, Nick, when I see 30th,
I
40th. I'm
know.
like, you can only pick one school. So, like, but then you know what, Nick? It makes the first, let's say, 5 or 10 schools upset, like, oh, so we weren't good enough, because now, you're talking about your 30th, and the athlete or the parents think that they're doing a good job posting 30, 31, 32 offers. Well, you're going to lose those first 10, because they're going to say, oh, he just used my name to add some stacks on his own, profile or likes. So be careful, athletes. Yeah, yeah.
I had to ask because I have seen that. I know some athletes personally who I've seen do that, but I'm like, it's not my place to say something. But I was like, hey, recruit,
Hey,
you can say it for
call
me.
me. I'll tell them for you. Hey, listen, that might not be a good idea. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing though too that I think about with feeds is a lot of times it is only highlights or only offers, and this is something that I've thought about with my clients. And actually,
Mhm,
I did have a client a few months ago who posted his meal prep for the week
mhm.
because we're working together and he's doing something different. And it's like when every feed looks exactly the same, like what's your take on some of those separate things? I mean, some will post workouts. I've seen baseball players or whatever that will post their workouts, but then also like even things like nutrition and stuff when we talk about the little things.
You know what? And you are definitely right, Nick. Just the little things, just to show these coaches that you are like well rounded. You know what I mean? So like I tell my kids, if your hobby is fishing and you go out fishing one day, just post a picture of you fishing and just say, you know what, taking a day away just for myself to just have fun fishing. That's gonna tell a coach, man, he's not just football or baseball or basketball, but he does have a life outside of that sport. My kid who has a 4.8, he just got it was like a 34 ACT score. I told him, post that on social media, because again, you're going to attract more more coaches by your grades than by your athleticism. So again, you know this, Nick. It's almost like selling yourself with your resume, right? You're going to put everything on that resume from, hey, EMT certified, or ASL, so American Sign Language, things like that, because the more that you can do, the more valuable you are to that company, to that school, things like that. So post everything. Yes, yes, sir.
Awesome, awesome. I'm working on some on the back end, and I'm like, I want to do something more organized and push my athletes out of their comfort zone and be like, hey, you should do
Hmm,
this too.
hmm,
You know,
hmm,
like
hmm.
you're doing those breakfasts every day. Just snap a photo one day and
That's it.
boom.
That's it. I'm telling you, it works. I'm telling you.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna send that to a couple of my clients. um Now, what about like what I mean, we've talked about some mistakes already, but what are some of the other bigger mistakes that you're seeing happening like right now
Mm.
with athletes and even parents?
Okay, game day visits. Okay, huge. Okay, so like right now, here we go. If you haven't talked to a coach, but they're sending you a game day visit, they're not interested in you. Okay, I'm sorry. Listen, be mad at me. Don't be mad at Nick. Okay, for bringing me on. Again, parents, I think sometimes parents get these emails, or these kids get these DMs, and they think, oh man, the coaches is interested. And it's a lot of times, let's be honest, if there's not bodies in the seat for that game, the game looks boring. You know what I mean? The seats are empty. So unless a coach is actually talking to you and you have either spoke to them on DM, they've watched your film, like it's okay, parents and athletes, to ask these coaches, hey coach, from watching my film, am I a offer prospect, or or not? Or hey, am I even on your recruiting board? For them, if they cannot answer that question, they're not recruiting you. Okay. That's just plain and simple. You know what I mean? You know what? It's funny. Me and my wife was talking about this a couple of weeks ago, as far as like when I was dating her, right? And I was like, hey, do you like me? You know what I mean? I mean, like we're going on days, we're texting each other, but at the end of the day, do you like me? And that's really what this recruiting is it's dating one-on-one. It's like, hey, I like you. Hey, coach, do you like me back? Can we like start dating, things like that? So yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is kind of seeing, do you like me, and let's move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that example. And I like you said, I think that it's ironic that again, like you're me being in your house and now it's like, oh no, I literally was just on Twitter last night and somebody had just posted about those visits and there'd be like 25,
Mhm,
players and the coach
mhm,
only talks to two of them.
mhm, mhm. Listen, and you know what the crazy about is, while they're talking to you, they're talking to other athletes too. You know what I mean? So again, like once you find your home, give a verbal. You know what I mean? Like you don't need 10, 15 offers to make this thing work. You know what I mean? So once you find your home and you're like, hey, you know what? This is the right place for me. Hey, give a verbal, get committed. Let's get this thing going. Absolutely.
So what about though? Because there's a decent amount of juniors. I know it's less often, but I know some juniors who have multiple offers, and
Hmm,
I think a
hmm,
lot of them wait till their senior year. And
hmm.
but then there's the others who, okay, they decommit after a coach gets fired. Like I've seen some from, I think was it Notre? No, not Notre Dame. They're doing well. Who's the coach? Some of the big LSU, and there was
Like
another one that
LSU,
just got fired.
yeah. So like LSU coaches got fired. I know a lot of his prospects are like
Yeah.
committing. And that's
So
mm. No, go
yeah,
ahead.
like how do you balance that though, like as a player, how do you balance like committing early, say your junior year or something, and
Mhm,
then what happens
mhm.
senior year if that coach gets fired? Like there's been a few this year already.
You listen, here we go. If you find your home and everything's good, then perfect. Give a verbal, right? But let's be honest, nothing is guaranteed until their senior year, early signing day. You know what I mean? So again, they have to wait. So it's still a verbal. You know what I mean? If you have to, I call it de-verbalize, but if you have to decommit, it's okay, because I'm pretty sure you have other schools out there that's willing to take you. Um, Again, like I said before, once you find that home, then go forward, then go ahead and commit. But I don't like the guys who commit, then decommit, then commit again, then decommit. And I'm like, man, if you don't make your decision, like I'm about to get upset with this. You know what I mean? Things like that. But it's crazy. It like this recruiting process is crazy.
Yeah. One, and I've seen it a bit. Like, actually, now I think it's an SEC school. Somebody got fired, but the other one, Oregon State, they just lost their coach, and
Big
there's a
brain.
local, yeah,
Yeah.
local athlete who just decommitted from them. Which, I mean, it was understandable. Like, you don't. There's a lot of uncertainty there, so like I definitely understand it from the athlete perspective. But when you're bouncing a bit, it's like,
It looks bad. It looks bad. It
it,
does. You know what I mean? So again, I tell my athletes, unless you're ready, because here we go. I've had a couple like really good athletes. So like one of my guys is Elijah Russian, right? Who plays at University of Oregon. And I mean, he had everybody on him. You know what I mean? So I was like, hey, unless you're ready, you know what I mean? Then we go forward and things like that. But like, like just take your time, like really enjoy the process because you only get one of this, to go through this high school process of being recruited. So enjoy it.
yeah. No, 100%. I want to, as I was just thinking, I've had in the back of my mind some of these, like, again, more of those stories that I think about, but giving you some of the hard ones. I know I kind of warmed you up a little bit before we started recording, but, one of the athletes, athletes like you guys, some of you just are in difficult situations. Some of
Mhm.
you think you're in a difficult situation. Really, it's not. Like, some of you will blame a coach or a parent will blame a coach when really it's not. There's also some situations where it might actually be a coaching difficulty.
Mhm.
Maybe they really have not supported you in that. Maybe the team just is not being held accountable and you're like taking things seriously, but nobody else is. And you're
Right.
going, your team goes 0 for 8. Coach leaves halfway through the season. I know an athlete that like is in that process. On the recruiting side of things, like how do you as a senior, for example, like still try to get opportunities at that next level even when you are in a difficult coach team situation there?
So this is where it goes back to what I said before is you just got to be open, right? As long as you're open and as long as you're open playing at any division and going anywhere, okay? A lot of these athletes nowadays, I always tell my kids, be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? You like again, I'm from California. I tell some kids you might have to go to the Midwest to play. I know it's foreign to you, but for you to get yourself to the next level, that's what you might have to do. And I think like a lot of these kids don't want to step away from their parents or their guardian. You know what I mean? So the biggest thing is kind of just putting yourself out there for like that senior that you're talking about and anybody else that could relate to that is literally like if you're on the West Coast, look at everything west of the Mississippi River, right? So many opportunities from the Midwest and like the GPAC, right? Great conference. You have like down south or, like, the Texas and the Oklahomas and the Alabamas. I mean, there's so many opportunities. But again, I think these families and these student athletes get so fixated on it has to be the school that's on TV. And it's like, no, because you can be at that school on TV, but you won't be seen. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'd rather go to a, a D2 school or a D3 and be seen because that's what being a college student athlete is, right? Is actually like getting stats, right? So like right now, my son told me this morning. It was cute. So today is sports day at his school. So he wore his sleeve. It's a game time sleeve. And he was like, Dad, can you sign it for me? Because you was an athlete. And he goes, because I saw you play on YouTube. And I was like, oh my God, I'm old. Like my son can look me up and go, like, that's my dad. He has film and this and that. So like it's cool to like know, like, okay, daddy did play at ASU and XYZ and things like that. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, and that's, I mean, yeah, it can be tricky, but I think, yeah, like you said, like taking any opportunity you can, I think
Mhm.
is huge. And when you mention like the D2, D3, I think about like, I mean, just to give an example, a couple of the recent, when we talk baseball, some of the recent Cy Youngs or like Cy Young nominees at least were D2, D3 athletes.
Yeah.
Or, you look at some of the guys who worked their way up from some lower levels and got those
Mhm.
opportunities. Scattaboo, although he's going to be playing at late
Golly.
season, but he's another one of those, where I think wasn't he Sac State or something. So
Yeah,
not
listen, you
huge, but
yeah,
go ahead.
man, there's so many stories out there of people that went a different route. You know what I mean? It's just that again, they took advantage of that opportunity. You know what I mean? They didn't say, "Oh man, no, this is my ending." No, this is just a pit stop. So let me go to XYZ school, let me ball out, and then if an opportunity presents itself where I can transfer, boom, let's do it. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like I said before, go where you're loved, go where you're wanted, and go where you're valued.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Uh, you might have a similar answer to this, but I still think it's another important one to talk about is the senior year injuries. I have some, athletes that I know who either had college offers or maybe they were close to college offers. One
Oh,
who tore his ACL. He was a talented lineman, part of a great team, like more of a like they just won state last year, and yeah, how do you navigate that when you like have a major injury like an ACL or something your senior year when that's crucial?
listen, Nick, the biggest thing is the mental game. It's not even the physical game, right? It goes straight to mental because like I tore my knee when I was playing, arena ball and things like that. But it's hard, you know what I mean, for a person to like you're out for, let's just say 6 to 8 weeks, 6 to 9 weeks, whatever that injury is, and you have to be mentally strong to get back on the field. And then once you're on the field, you got to play that mental game of, hey, I did everything possible, so my knee's going to be okay, my shoulder's going to be okay, whatever that may be. Um, to still get your name out there, again, it's still the same concept. Just get your film out there. Again, be open. Now, again, you might not be able to go Division 1, right? Because maybe your stock has dropped a little bit, but hey, Division 2, Division 3, NAIA, JUCO, whatever that may be. But like I had a kid, this was a couple years ago, um, 2 weeks before his first game, tears his knee. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I like my heart sunk because when I tell you we had schools on him, and I mean he still went Division 2 and then he transferred to a Division 1, but he was always like, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. So it's that mental game of no, you are good enough, and we're going to get you to the next level, but I need you to be mentally strong.
Yeah, yeah. What about the conversations with coaches, and even in both of these situations when you're trying to have these conversations with college coaches and you're like, yeah, I know, because you don't want to just blame the coach like on the coaching side. You don't want to blame the coach when you're trying to have a conversation with another coach like that doesn't sit well. And then
Right.
there's the injury side of like how do you talk about the injury versus just showing your highlights and stuff.
Listen, this recruiting platform and the process, you have to be honest, right? Because I tell coach all the time, like I will never overpromise and underdeliver. So if I know a kid is D1 level, then he's going D1 because I've done this for the last 9 years. If a kid is Division 3, unfortunately I'm not selling you to a Division 1 because that's going to hurt my reputation at the end of the day and yours. So with that, it's just you got to just keep that line of communication open, saying, I'm gonna use University of Jamestown, which is in North Dakota. Hey, Coach Mistro, he's the head coach. Hey, coach, listen, I got a running back. He's really good. Coach, I've never lied to you, but he did tear his ACL week 1. I can show you film of his rehab, and that's the biggest thing. Film your rehab. So you can say, hey, coach, XYZ, this is what I did, but look where I am now. You know what I mean? So that's huge, is just filming your rehab, showing your workouts. So you can tell coaches, I am getting better. So don't fear, like, I'm gonna be a new body when I come on campus.
Yeah. No, that's huge. I mean, like actually, yeah, because if you show that you are actually, yeah, like you said, getting better, that you're actually putting in that work, that you want to be at the same point, if not better than you were before. I mean, that's huge. Um,
Absolutely.
what about on the coaches side though, when it is like, you don't want to blatantly say to a college coach, yeah, my coach didn't, it was a messy situation or whatever. Like how do you navigate that conversation when it's just a messy team situation?
Situation. Absolutely. Great question. I had a kid my first year doing this. He was, let's just say this, his last 2 years, he only won 2 games. Okay. Yeah. And he was 6'2", 6'3". He was about 200 pounds safety. And I met him great thing about this young man is we actually went Division 1. We went to Fresno State. He had a great GPA. He had a great SAT score. And the biggest thing I told coaches was this: Hey, coach, listen, you see his film? Film looks great. Do not judge this young man based off of his record because his school sucked. And I'm sorry to say that, but again, at the end of the day, it was that open line of communication where I told the coach, don't look at his record because his record is going to tell you to go left. Look at his film. Tell me what you think. And again, he has the box. 6'2", 200 pounds, playing safety. Coach, listen to me. You're going to want this young man on your team because he's a hard-hitting safety, but it worked out. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think it's nice to have somebody in your corner that coaches can respect, because if you're saying it as a teenager or your parent is saying
Mhm.
it, like
Mhm.
there's enough what they call daddy ball or mommy ball or whatever they call it. There's enough of that it's like, regardless of your heart and how true it is, no
Mhm.
matter what, it's going to come off differently to a coach when a parent or an athlete's saying it, even if it is, true type of situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, Nick, that's why I love my job, right? It's just to speak on behalf for these kids because, again, I've been doing it for the last 9 years. I've gotten kids across the country to different colleges. So coaches know if I say ... kid is good, they go, Rodney said it. He's not going to hurt his reputation because of that. So I love it. I love it.
Awesome, awesome. Sweet. Well, I do what I can to try to keep these not too long. So, but I like to always leave with an open-ended conversation or open-ended question for you. And so I've started to call this the clutch three. But
Okay.
what are like three key like recruiting fundamentals that every athlete should really master
Mm,
and develop to give them the best shot?
mm. Wow. Okay. The clutch three. Okay. First clutch. Again, take care of grades. Okay. You're a student first, athlete second. Okay. Don't get it twisted. You're not an athlete first, student. So that's one. With that, I always tell my kids this: the same effort that you're putting in your sport, put it in the classroom. Because if you're a 2.0 student, you're not putting 2.0 on the football field or the baseball field, whatever that may be. So that's clutch one. Clutch two is still on the academics. Take your SAT or your ACT early. Okay. You can take it as many times as you want. But again, the more money a school or the higher your GPA, the higher your SAT, your ACT score, more money a school will give you. We're not even talking about your athleticism. We're talking about your brain. So that's two. The third one is as far as athleticism, make sure you are taking care of your body in the off season. I think a lot of kids they don't understand the off season is how you get better. It's not during the season. During the season, you're maintaining what you did in the off season. So people listen to this again, take care of your grades right early, do your SAT and ACT as many times as you want. But again, 3 years in the off season, take care of your body and let's go to work.
Yeah, dude. I love those. I mean, the education, again, like more money, more opportunities, and it shows, yeah, like you said, it shows who you are. And if you struggle with grades or you struggle with school, then figure like there are ways, regardless of if you have ADHD or whatever, there are ways to help you succeed. You just gotta have conversations. You gotta ask for help type of thing.
That's it.
So
That's
and
it.
ask the right kind of help.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
yeah. And then I like too the off season. I mean, that's the whole focus of the book that I'm releasing. But it's again, when you think about in season, like you see a lot of guys who are going like this. They're losing weight, they're losing strength, they're losing a lot of things. And so if you can build that solid foundation in the off season, you're gonna be much better off in season, and you're gonna be able to maintain better.
Correct.
You know, a lot of times season can be survival mode in some senses.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
uh, that's why you look at athletes like, I mean, I like to use LeBron as an example because you can just see his stuff more openly. But he amps up his carb intake in the playoffs. He amps up his nutrition in general so that he's not going down, that he's
Mhm.
maintaining, maybe even going a little bit up. So
Right.
how can you maintain regardless of how crazy the season gets?
Absolutely. That's right, Nick. You just hit it on the head. You know what I mean? Just it's all about getting better at the end of the day. During season, off season, getting better. Me and my son call it stacking days. You know what I mean? We need to stack days so that we keep getting better and better every day.
Yeah, 100%. So true. Awesome. Well, I really, really appreciate you hopping on. I already know, like, I have people in my head of I'm gonna send this to this person, send this to this, because there are people that need to hear this like right now. And so really, really appreciate you hopping on, Rodney.
Likewise. Thank you. Listen, Nick, thank you. I appreciate you. One day I'm coming to Seattle, Washington, and we're going to get some sushi because y'all got some good sushi up there and some good clam chowder. I know.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I know. So thank you again, Nick. I appreciate you.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And athletes, parents, you guys got a lot to work off of. Check the show notes too for Rodney's links. I'll put like the most important one at the top, and we'll
Okay.
work our way down there.
Yeah,
Give you guys a few options there, but yeah, take that action. You guys got a lot of things to implement, and as always, keep striving for greatness.
absolutely.